morning, Dan.
Morning,
Good
how
morning,
are you
Ed.
doing?
We're on. We're live, Judy.
Good.
Are we?
Yeah.
Almost at 10. Okay, people are-
It's right at 10, so.
Hellos. Okay, good morning. Good morning. This is the February 12th meeting of the Allegheny County IDA. We'll call the meeting to order at 10 o'clock. We have a good crew of people here today, so we are going to do some introductions. We'll first start with the board members. Well, we'll just go around. Let's just go around. Dave, we'll let you start.
Okay.
And then we'll finish in the meeting hour.
Okay. Hi, Dave Bettina from BWB. Glad to be here this morning. We're going to cover the audit report for the 2025 year.
Craig Clark, the executive director.
Jake Kohler, BWB.
John Ricky, board member.
Rich Ewell, board member.
Judy Hopkins, board member.
Randy Shaler, board member.
Doug Frank, the treasurer there.
Melissa Conchator, Assistant Director.
Barb Benjamin, Operations Director, IDA.
I'm Allison Harrow, the Allegheny County Attorney.
I'm Brooke Harris, county board chair.
And Ed,
Ed Russell, IDA counsel from Hudson Russ.
Dan,
Dan Spitzer, also IDA counsel from Hudson Russ.
and Ryan.
Very usual, Ryan Magwood, EcoStrat, business development manager.
Okay, just so you know, you're first once we do a few little things, Ryan, okay?
Sounds great, Craig.
Okay,
Okay, the first thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the January 8th meeting. I will give you a chance to look at those, and we'll accept a motion to accept those minutes.
Most accepted.
Thank you, Rich. Made by Rich, second by John. Oh, thank you. By John. Second. Are there any questions about the minutes or changes? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. And that is accepted. Move on to the treasurer's report, the abstract report expenses of first. Take a look at that, and we'll accept a motion to approve that when you're ready.
I'll make that motion, Judy.
Thank you, John. Good for a second. Rich?
Second.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much. Okay, moved and seconded, that we accept the abstract report. Any questions about that? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, that is accepted. Moving on to the banking and financial summary. Again, we'll need a motion to accept that.
So move.
Thank you, Rich.
Second.
Oh, second by John. Okay, are there any questions about that? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. That is accepted. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to the building and the sales final cost.
yeah, the last, probably discussion on the building since it was sold, last year. But we had some closing costs of which the county agreed to pay for the final cost that we had to incur at the end of the year because we didn't have some things taken care of. The most interesting one was Suburban. It's worked with, but just recently we finally got that sort of fixed.
We had zero balance yesterday.
Barb has a
They kept billing us, and even though they did a final reading the day we asked them, they kept billing us. And we still were showed that we owed money, but we finally got it squared away. And it was nothing the county did, it was nothing we did, they just didn't follow through. So that's why it took a while to get that final document put together, because we had to get that taken care of.
Thank you very much. Okay, any questions about the building, anybody? Okay, moving on to the action items then, we have a presentation by EcoStrat BPO zone contract. And Ryan Magwood, I think you're up.
Yeah, I asked Ryan to discuss what they're going to be doing for us on this BD zone. They had a presentation a while ago, but because the government shut down last fall, the USDA grant never got signed until just recently. So it's been probably 6 months since we've discussed it. And so I thought it'd be good to let Ryan tell you what that BD zone, what we're going to be working with them on. And you have their RFP, which we'd like to sign today to move forward after we talk to Ryan. There you go.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. I worked with Craig on an application to the USDA through their Rural Business Development Grant to get funding to complete a BDO zone rating for Allegheny County within New York here. And really what a BDO zone rating is a standards-based assessment of a specific region's suitability to host a biofuel, renewable chemical, biogas, or a bioproducts facility. Essentially, it's an analysis of the region that will look at determining how ready the county is to support new bio-based projects. And these ratings, so far, EcoStrat has issued a little over 60 BDO zone ratings all across North America. This will actually be the first within the state of New York. There's a couple we've issued in the last couple of years in Pennsylvania and some of the neighboring states within New York, but this will be the first within the state. So essentially, it will do an assessment and determine a grade. The highest investment grade rating is a AAA. The lowest investment grade rating is a BBB. And it's a 70 to 90 page report that looks at about 100 or so different risk indicators pertaining to 3 major categories of risk. So the first is the feedstock surplus. So it'll do an analysis of the region that looks at how much woody biomass is being produced within the region. What's the supply chain like? What is the infrastructure that's in place that can support a project? And these ratings BDO zone ratings are credible because they are based upon the standards for biomass supply chain risk. So my company, EcoStrat, we developed these standards with Idaho National Labs, the U.S. Department of Energy, and a 65-member capital markets risk ratings and review committee that help provide feedback as to what developers and investors look for and care for in terms of risk when deciding where to site bio-based projects. So that is what makes these BDO zone ratings credible. And yeah, it just to bring it back around here for this project specifically, I worked with Craig on this application through the USDA. We were recently just notified that we were successful and got funding to complete the BDO zone rating for the region. So the funding through this grant for the USDA is going to help cover the entire cost of the rating. And Craig is putting up $5,000 as an in-kind contribution. That's going to account for the time he's expected to spend on the project essentially throughout the 1-year engagement. So happy to answer any questions that you all have, but this project is essentially being paid for through this grant, through the USDA, and EcoStrat is going to support with the quarterly reporting that's going to be required and everything along those lines to move this project forward. But happy to answer any questions that you all might have today.
Yeah, we approved the grant a couple of meetings ago, and I finally just signed the paperwork that you let me sign last month. So we're ready to start work. We just now have to have our consultants' contract signed so they can do the work. And so that's what you have in your package is their RFP. It's a $150,000 grant. 70 is their in kind, 5 is our in kind, and so that's taken care of. And once we get going, I think it's going to take 6 months. You said, Ryan, to probably do this to start with. First phase.
Yeah. So there's 2 phases to the program to the project we're talking about. The first phase is the actual technical report and doing the 70 to 90 page document. That'll take up to 6 months. And then after that, we will start with the marketing and promotion phase. So that is really where EcoStrat's in kind is coming from and is geared towards the marketing and promotion. So we'll do a joint press release announcing that the rating has been formally publicized. We'll share it with our network, which is filled up of different developers and investors within the industry. We have a webinar where we partnered with the Digest, the world's largest bioeconomy newsletter. So this will be a chance where Craig and our project director who actually wrote the report to give a technical view of the region and talk about the opportunity here and the different risks associated with siting a bio-based facility in the area. So yeah, it's a 1 year engagement that's going to essentially be paid for through this grant.
Is this all, are you pretty much all talking cow manure that you're gonna be using for this? I mean, is that
So
what
we're
is that
actually-
what the main, feedstock, whatever you call it, inventory would be?
Yeah, so we're gonna be looking at woody biomass
Right.
as the feedstock stream. So pulpwood, forest residuals, sawdust and bark shavings, it's really the byproduct of the forest industry, the low grade material that doesn't have an existing market. It will do an analysis of the region to determine how much of that is being produced, what is the quantity, what's the price developer can acquire that waste for, and then we will market and promote that information to developers that are wanting to understand where areas are, where they can site these projects that they don't know where to look. So this is a way for communities and regions to be more proactive in terms of trying to attract these kinds of projects and do this pre-assessment for everything that these developers care about. As mentioned, they're all based upon the standards for biomass supply chain risk.
So where's all this woody material gonna come from? Sawmills, clearing land, tops from trees that are logged, or where do you expect to get
Yeah,
this?
all the above. So it'll do an analysis and we'll look at the different subcategories you're talking about. The forest residue, the sawdust and bark, the pulpwood, it's analysis of the timber industry and looking at the low grade material, what is being produced and generated on an annual basis that doesn't have an existing market currently. And we're gonna do the analysis to determine how much of that is there, what's the price that a developer can acquire it for, and then promote this information to different developers and investors within the space. Because they're not gonna know that they can get this feedstock within this county for this price and this quantity if this pre-assessment is completed. So it's essentially a third-party validation that gives them the assurance that they can get this feedstock at this supply and this cost. And these would be the main suppliers within the industry who would be able to support your potential project.
So you're gonna make electricity out of this stuff, correct?
So the rating itself it's not, the VDO zone rating is just the analysis of the region. It's not meant to determine what type of a project you will or should or will attract. It's meant to highlight the assets that are within the area so that you can feel those inbound inquiries that you're going to get from these different developers, whether it's biofuels, biochar, whatever it is. It doesn't, the end use, we don't care as much about the end use in terms of we're trying to just help get these communities on the map and showcase to the developers the assets that we have. So right now we have issued a little over 60 VDO zone ratings all across North America. There's currently over $10 billion in private capital that is being that has been allocated for projects located within VDO zones. And there's a project where we issued a rating down in Ballinger, Texas, a couple of years ago. There's a company called USA Bioenergy that they're currently in the capital raise phase for that project. They're looking to stand up a $2.8 billion biofuel facility there. And they're actually using the rating as a piece of due diligence to support them with the capital raise that's being supported via Barclays Bank. But that's an example of a project. The rating is meant to dictate what type of a project you will or should attract, though. Ultimately, that's up for you to decide and what you're looking to attract.
Ryan, I like Rich's question though, because I'd like to say, can you give us an idea of what the top 3 types of industries we might attract or companies we might attract, projects that would come because of this rating?
Yeah, absolutely. So anything from biofuels, renewable chemicals, biogas, bioproducts, it would be anyone that's essentially looking at utilizing the wood waste within the region and converting it to an end material. So what we also have is something that's called our VDO Zone Project Developer Network. And this is a list of over 300 different developers within this industry, within the bioeconomy all around the world that are looking at VDO zones as a short list for where they should be, where they should be citing these projects, because these areas have gone through this initial due diligence, but it's biofuels, biochar, pellet producing, bioproducts, anything along those lines. Converting the wood waste into an end material and creating a new market for that feedstock that right now doesn't have an existing market or isn't being utilized.
Thanks, Ryan.
Would they be doing that here in Allegheny County or just trucking this all out to somewhere else? Would they be setting up?
That's the plan, is to get somebody located in the county.
Located in the county?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because by this rating, we've proven that we have the available material at a certain price, so for them, yeah.
Do you have, based on your experience, a feel for what this rating might be and how that compares with other ratings, either in the geography or in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the highest investment grade rating that you can achieve is a AAA. We haven't issued any AAA ratings to date because essentially there's little to or no risk within the region. We've issued, out of the 60, I think 8 or 9 AA ratings, a lot of single A ratings, some triple B and double B ratings. So just some case studies nearby that I can touch on. The 2 ratings we've issued in the state of Pennsylvania, one within Cameron County and another within Wyoming County. Both of those counties received an A rating. We issued one also up in Vermont in Caledonia County. They have received an A rating. One that's just north of the border in Ontario, in Renfrew County, Ontario, they received a AA rating. So I would say those are some case studies of nearby ratings that counties and communities have achieved within that are similar and could be kind of a parallel or drawn to understand like what would you be likely to achieve. I would think between an A and a AA rating is what I would say. But that will be uncovered when we actually do the technical assessment for the region and do the due diligence.
And so these facilities that have received these A and AA ratings, there are currently no projects that are being developed because of those ratings? That's just the starting point? Yeah, go ahead.
The rating is meant to act as a bullseye on a map, essentially, and show developers and investors what areas are capable and suitable of supporting these kinds of projects because they have the feedstock, they have the supply chain, and they have the infrastructure that can support their project. So right now, there's over $10 billion of private capital that's currently being raised for projects in six locations that are within BDO zones. And the reason why those developers have landed there is because of the rating and the technical assessment for the region. So we also, there's a professor out of the University of Tennessee, his name's Burton English, and he recently just wrote actually an economic impact report that highlights the expected economic impact for these 6 specific projects. So happy to share that material with you as well. But the goal here is to attract a facility that can essentially utilize the wood waste that's being produced in the area that doesn't currently have a use or a market.
But currently there are no facilities that are operating because of the result of these ratings. It's in development still.
Yeah, correct. They're in various stages of development, whether it's the capital raise phase or whatever that might be. The BDO zone initiative was launched back about 4 or 5 years ago. So project development takes time, right? So these projects aren't stood up overnight, but these communities and areas that have received a rating are now having these deep discussions with developers in terms of citing these projects and getting these standed up, which is the whole intention behind what the rating is meant to do and serve as an economic development tool for you.
Brian, I have a question about the mechanics of how it's going to happen. And you said that some of this will come from harvesting woods and the materials that are left. So does that mean that you actually need to go up onto landowners' land and scout around and find that? And it seems like a pretty high labor intensive part, and also you need a lot of permission from the landowners.
So what we will do when we do our assessment, we're not actually like boots on the ground, it's all virtual. We have analysts and project directors that work all across the US, Canada, and Europe as well, who will be carrying out the assessment. We will get in contact with the on-the-ground suppliers and stakeholders to validate the feedstock and the supply chain and the infrastructure risks that are there. So we will do essentially this analysis of the region, and we want to get in contact with the State Forest Service and the Forestry Association. We'll get in contact with the loggers, with the truckers, with those people on the ground that can help validate the feedstock and the mechanics and what it would look like to set up a project. So we're not actually physically going to be coming into the area to do this assessment. We will be carried out virtually and remotely.
And let me ask a follow-up question to you, Judy, if you don't mind. So from what I understand, and just to answer Judy's question fully, this has nothing to do with private landowners. It's really going to be existing industry that's creating byproducts that this new industry could use that was coming in. It's nothing to do with private citizens.
Correct. What I'll do is I'm just going to pull up an example of what a rating actually looks like. So this is just an example of a rating in Macon County in Alabama just last year. So within Macon County, we looked at woody biomass as well as we'll be looking at within your county. So this is the scope of the area we look at for the assessment. So the actual BDO zone itself is about a 25-mile zone. The supply zone we're assessing the feedstock is within 75 miles. And then we also assess the competition zone. So we're looking at any competing end users that might be sourcing the feedstock within the area. So we'll look for Macon County, for example. We looked at the pulpwood, we looked at the forest residues, we looked at the sawdust and bark, and we're looking to determine what is the rated quantity of each of these subcategories of woody biomass. What is the delivered price that a developer can expect to acquire this waste for? And it's an analysis of the region that looks at all these different elements and what it would take to set up a project within the county. So it's nothing to do with the private landowners within the area. It's strictly just an assessment that looks at determining how much wood waste is there that could support a project essentially.
So let's pretend for a minute that I was a logger. Pulpwood.
Just so you know, he is a logger.
Pulpwood would be practical for me as a logger to haul into your facility, and then you process that pulpwood at the facility, correct? So I load my truck up with low-grade material that I can't sell to the mill, and I bring it to your facility. Okay, forest residue, from my experience, I can see no practical way of hauling forest residue, i.e. tops, on a truck. So clearly, as a logger, I would have to process that into some sort of chip material and then haul that into you?
So what we're talking about here, EcoStride wouldn't be actually developing this project. All that we are doing is we are doing the assessment.
So that would be dependent on the individual that developed the project.
Correct.
Right.
That'd be like the second phase.
The rating is just an assessment of the region. We're not saying that it's because we don't know the end project yet, right? We don't know if it's going to be a biofuel facility, a pellet mill, a biochar facility. We don't know the end use. So what we're doing is we're doing an analysis that just looks at the industry currently and looks at pulpwood availability. Maybe forest residue, like you're saying, doesn't make sense for the region, but what are the waste streams in terms of the forest and timber industry that are being produced within the region, and where is there an opportunity for a developer to utilize that feedstock stream?
So I assume that would be you would do some sort of cost benefit or analysis of selling that low grade material as firewood, which is currently.
Yeah, exactly. There's about 100 or so risk indicators that we actually will be looking at that pertain to the feedstock, the supply chain, and the infrastructure within the region. So that will be all uncovered within the report. And then for what you were talking about with moving, we bake in we understand and analyze the transportation costs, everything along those lines to understand what it would take to stand up a facility here.
Madam Chairperson?
Yes.
I would know some years ago when they were looking at a biomass energy facility in Cattaraugus County, they entered into a contract with a company that specifically went out and collected the wood for them from the various companies. And there was about a 100-mile radius that they had entered into a contract to bring the wood in. So it was done in that case by a company set up by, retained by the proposed biomass burner. Biomass as a electric source, which somebody mentioned earlier, it might be very tough to do these days in New York. When the clean energy standard was renewed, they did not include biomass unless you use a particular type of hybrid willow. But there are other ones. Years ago, and Rich, I don't remember if you were on the board then when we talked with the pellet manufacturer, where we were competing with Pennsylvania, as I recall. And they also had, and they would definitely be the kind of company that Ryan's talking about that would be great to locate here. And they also had a company that actually did the collections for them over, as I recall, again, like about 100-mile square mile radius in terms of what was what they considered to be economical. And I don't know, again, as Brian says, he doesn't get into the developer side, he gets up the ratings, and I don't know if any of that affects the ratings in terms of availability. But that's generally how they work it. It's not generally expected that like a sawmill would truck its sawdust, but more that the company that's acquiring it would consider the cost of transportation one way or the other in its cost of developing a project.
Yeah, that's totally accurate. Thank you for that. And the rating is essentially just a technical assessment of the region that will be able to be shared to developers to give them an understanding of what the opportunity is within the county here. So the rating, it's not, as I mentioned, it's not meant to dictate what type of a project you will or should attract. It's meant to highlight the assets that are within the area that could support a facility. And when we get to the marketing and promotion phase, after the technical report has been finalized, that is where we will get the rating in front of and share it with developers that are looking to site biofuels, renewable chemicals, biochar facilities, everything along those lines. So it's the developers want to get a pre-assessment and understand because they need to understand what is the supply that can support their project, how much is it going to cost them, and all that this rating is doing is giving them those answers.
So in lieu of producing energy, and I'm sorry, I apologize for being a few minutes late, what sort of end product are we talking about? Obviously, pellets would be one. What else?
Pellets, biofuels, renewable jet fuel.
You mentioned biochar too.
There's a lot of biochar as well. That's a few different.
Biochar is fertilizer? Biochar is fertilizer?
Yeah, there's also a lot of products that are made that are basically sawdust and wood chips and chemicals.
Right.
Like panels, lower end panels for housing.
Right.
And some other housing type products.
Well,
the wood is a remarkable commodity that can be used in a lot of different things. And technically any of those companies are potential targets if they have an adequate supply that Ryan can confirm.
any other questions? Because I'd like to get approval to sign that contract with EcoStrat so we can start moving forward on this BD zone.
Okay, they're having a lot of really good questions and good discussion, and we thank you, Ryan, for your
Yes.
answers. Thanks, and perhaps Craig, you can just clarify for everybody in the room what it is that we're going to be voting on.
You're voting on the RFP that I can sign so that they will do the USDA grant, RPDG grant that we have. Obviously, you need a consultant to do that work. They wrote the actual document. I've talked to USDA. It's fine to work with EcoStrat because they're the ones that are typically doing this work. And it's a $75,000, and then there'll be in kind of $70,000 from EcoStrat and $5,000 from us. So it's a $150,000 project.
So we're doing a request for proposal?
No, they
Isn't
already
that what
got
an
one.
RFP is?
No, we already got one. It's in your package.
Oh, okay. So we're gonna do a motion
To approve the contract.
RFP? We
Yes.
already did?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Craig to state. the
Basically, we
motion
want to
that
approve
we
the
are-
contract with EcoStrat,
somebody's
which is in your package. They sent us an RFP,
Right.
a request for information. They gave us that when we first started this project.
So as we often do, Craig, we're gonna ask you to phrase the motion that is gonna be.
We'd like to have the board approve the contract with EcoStrat for $75,000 out of the $150,000 project to do the work for the USDA grant.
Okay.
That's what they called it, yeah, I know.
That is the motion. Would a member of the board like to make that motion?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Second?
I'll second.
John, thank you. Is there any other discussion about the motion? If not, we'll take a vote. Is this a roll call vote, Craig? Okay. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is passed. Thank you very much, Ryan.
So I'll sign that and get it to you, Ryan, so we can start work, okay?
Great, thanks, Craig.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you. So
Thanks,
you're released unless you really want to listen.
I'll go. Take care. Thank you all.
Okay, thank
Take care.
Okay, then the next two things on the agenda are the micro enterprise grant on,
I
you're gonna tell us about that?
I will
Do
talk to you
know
about that real quickly because Mike Zimmerman could not make it and he did talk to me. He's finalizing the grant, as the county knows. They're signing all the paperwork and they basically will be submitting the final document sometime this month so we can close out the last micro enterprise grant. And the last awardee, there's still a couple of checks coming out. PMAC is one of the last ones. And then we will have spent all the funds from the grant. And then we're looking to open up another one, but we don't know when we can open it up because it'll be sometime after March. We can't even put in any request for more funds until after March, so.
The budget money hasn't been approved yet.
And
Right.
how much is this grant for this time? Is it 200,000?
No, we're just closing this grant out. We're not opening a new grant, we're closing this out,
Closing it, okay.
which is already 300. It was the second $300,000.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
So it's just information, but he wasn't available.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready for.
Dave
BWB.
Dave and Jake show.
Yeah,
Okay, well, thank you for having us. Our goal is to cover the 2025 audit. And in front of you is a copy of the report. Jake's going to walk us through the highlights of 2025. Obviously, we had a big transaction occur right before the end of the year, which is reflected within the financial statement. The sale of the building, obviously. So go ahead, Jake, if you want to take her away.
Alrighty, thanks, Dave. So on page 1, we have the independent auditors report, which is what we're hired to provide, is an opinion on the financial statements. And so we have a clean, unmodified opinion for the agency, which is the highest level of assurance we can provide. So congratulations on another clean year for,
Good job, Barb.
for the agency. So then starting on page 3 and moving through page 6 is the management's discussion and analysis, which is really a summary of all of the information that I'll cover in the following pages. I did want to draw attention to, on page 6, we did add a paragraph about the LDC, since that's, starting this year, but certainly impacted the agency. And also we've talked about that in a small paragraph in section 7 there, factors bearing on the agency's future. And so I'm going to move forward to page 7 and I'll kind of talk about everything that the MD&A talks about as we go through this. And so, first, page 7 is the statement of net position or the balance sheet. And so, if we were to kind of compare to last year, obviously the agency is seeing an influx in cash flows because of the LCAP project. And so you see that reflected on the certificate of deposit line there. We've taken the cash that we've gotten and invested it in, low risk investments there. Another note is we have this other receivable current portion of 2.76 million. And so last year we recorded the entire LECAP project revenue. And then, as we received the cash, we would, reduce the receivable. And so the agency received the second payment in January. And I think we were expecting that in December. And so, you might be asking yourself, why is that so much larger? Really, it's because we have the two payments. We got one in January. It's my understanding we're expecting the next one in December. So you really have two of those big payments sitting in that receivable as of December 25. And then you also notice the impact on your capital assets line of the sale of the building. And so we sold about, the net impact after depreciation is about $1 million there of, selling the building. Furthermore, in the other assets, I know we have the concept of lease accounting where, when you're a lessee of a building, you record the lease receivable of the payment you're going to receive over the life of those leases. And so because you sold the building, obviously that what you're going to receive in rent over the course of the contract is much lesser. And so there's going to be a lot of fluctuation and lack of comparability when it comes to, you see the lease receivable line is so much lower because really now your only lease receivable is your PM research lease and the value of those payments over the life of that contract. And then the same thing for your deferred inflows of resources. That's the corresponding liability for the lease. And so again, you see a large fluctuation there, really just because of the nature of the transaction. So moving to page 8 is the statements of activities, which is your income statement. And so again, you see right off the top, your fees are so much lower. I mentioned we recognized the LECAP fee all last year. So you're going to get, about 4 million of revenue recorded last year. And so we've returned back to kind of traditional, doing your normal admin fee work. And so that's why it's so much lesser. I'll note what else here. So your interest income, it's worth noting 75 to 121,000 just for having cash in your CDs. I think it might not seem like a big number, but that's a really meaningful investment to get the money into the CDs and earn some interest for the cash on hand while you make decisions on how to spend that cash. Another note, we do have a line for the EPA Brownfield grant. And so this year we recorded around 43,000 in revenues and expenditures this year, for administering the grant there. Going down to the expense section, one large difference is, this year the agency has employees, and so we have payroll expense there, payroll and benefits. And so, that's right off the top there. You see, obviously last year we had 0 because the folks are paid through contracts instead of payroll. I guess we could touch on ACUC really, at the end of the day, we had a loss and we've transferred that loss back to the IDA to cover the loss. But you'll see up in revenues, your water charges increased about 3,000 and then the water line costs increased about 4. I don't think that fluctuation probably is surprising to folks here. And then like we have a transfer of almost 22,000 to transfer the loss to the IDA. And then down in your pass-through transactions, that's where we have the pilot monies as well as your micro enterprise grant, where you're really just passing through the money from one to the other. But you'll see kind of the winding down of that micro enterprise grant is driving the decrease there as well. So with all said and done, I forgot maybe the biggest component on this page, even though it's not a big number, is the gain on sale of assets of around 111,000. And so What that is obviously you received cash for selling the building. There were some credits for utilities costs and rent costs. And then as far as the accounting goes, there's also the component of the lease receivable deferred inflows that's calculated into your gain. And so when all said and done, your gain on the sale was around 111,000. I think we gave up around 840 in net book value, so the cost minus accumulated depreciation, and we got 915 in cash. So without the lease component of the gain, your gain on sale is around 70,000. Any questions on those before we move forward? So then page 10 is the notes to the financial statements. So note 1 is, the same types of information you would have seen in prior years. Again, we have an added paragraph on page 10 for the LDC, just really to say that it was formed and the agency anticipates to issue its first loan in 2026. Page 11, good information. One, you see, the fluctuation in note 2, the impact of the sale of the building, really your building and improvements, asset value, and then the associated depreciation that was removed from the books. And then note 4 is also, I think, good information that gives you an idea of the debt schedule of your current debt and the payments that the agency will need to make in the coming years. Page 12, again, we have your lease table at the bottom of the note 5 note that tells you, this lease standard and the expected payments that you're gonna get in the associated rent receivable interest. A lot of it is accounting minutia instead of cash flow minutia, so I'll keep it moving. Page 13, we have, 2 additional notes for the Brownfield grant to summarize the activity. I mentioned, the total grant's 500,000. We spent around 43,000, and so that's also the revenue that we've recorded for the grant. And then again, a note about the existence of LDC and that the agency paid 15,000 to the contractor to get things started there. Any questions on the notes? We'll get back to some letters. All right. So page 15 is our report on internal control. And so, it's important to note we're not providing an opinion on the effectiveness of the internal control, but we certainly gain an understanding of the control environment of the agency. We select a selection of samples of transactions around revenues, disbursements, payroll, and we ensure that the staff is following the existing policies of the agency, and then we also would make suggestions for best practices if we saw fit. And so you'll see on page 17 we have really one finding for journal entries and disclosures to the financial statements. And so certainly, the creation of, as the auditor, we've created this document with numbers provided by the staff, and we proposed journal entries as part of that process. And so this is our statement that, we've had that circumstance. And this is the same finding you would have had in prior years. And you'll see, the agency responses, you'll continue to have all the information reviewed at your board meetings. You have board oversight in the processes. And so, that's kind of what we'd expect. And then page 18, again, segregation of duties, really because we have, just Barb is involved in a lot of the financial operations. And really just the nature of the agency and the fact that you only have 3 people working and they're not all full-time. There's a risk for a lack of segregation of duties. And so again, our recommendation is that you have board oversight and there's, a second set of, independent eyes on on transactions. And again, this is the same type of finding we would have had in prior years.
What are we doing now to change that now that we have more people? Plus Doug's retired, he could cover here full time.
So could you, Rich.
Are you getting Melissa involved or?
We've started to do that.
Did you?
Yeah, we've
Okay.
done some trainings and started to get me into the QuickBooks, not on a very high level because we've been, I think 9 months now.
I know
Wow.
you have. I know
But
you
so
all
we've
have.
got a lot to learn, but
Yeah.
Barb and I have done a couple of training sessions and we're working on the budget together. And I review, she reviews mine, I review hers, so we're working on it, but we should get some, we'll get some, more than
It'll
we've
make you
had.
feel better if there's two sets of eyes on it.
She's
too, Barb.
clearly
So
much
you're
better at it,
responsible.
but,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
No, it's true, it's
Yeah.
something we strive for sure, it's a good point, Rich.
I have a question, and it says in paragraph 1, it's the understanding that personnel in the agency are not currently bonded. Is that a recommendation that you would make for our people to become bonded?
No, there's crime coverage on your policy, on our policy.
There is.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can, yeah, that's crime coverage. I don't know off the top of my head, how much, 20 or 50,000 or something.
Is that our direct?
No, actually, we made an issue out of it.
You made an issue of it.
Yeah, I'll find out. I think it might be $1 million.
You increased
Okay.
it, you increased it.
Okay.
Good question. Julie.
I think it's actually like $1 million, because you did bring that up a couple of years ago. We started getting this money that we wanted to increase the,
Can make sense to increase it, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
that won't get you to Tahiti, so.
Go ahead, thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Okay. So then on the final page of the packet is our management letter, which is recommendations for the agency. And so the first one is positive pay. We've been adding this comment to our clients in the environment we have of, high risk fraud and the way fraud is evolving with technology. You can have the bank involved in assuring that checks are, what people who commit fraud will do is they wash the checks. And so, that's the term, wash it, I don't know. And so they change it. They change the payee or, the number.
Right.
And so then the check will be cashed and no one really knows who it went to and if it was the right person. And so what positive pay does is you can have that relationship with your bank to let them know the listing of checks before, or the day you issue them perhaps, and then there's a second set of verification when it's cashed. And so there is a cost to that usually, and so you have to, weigh that with your bank.
So it's like 2FA for checks?
Yeah, I guess so.
Authentication,
Yeah,
sorry,
Right.
for checks.
yeah,
You said there's a cost for that?
Well, I'm gonna find out from the
it
bank.
depends.
I just found out
Yeah.
yesterday that this is something you're recommending, but we'll find out from the bank
Yeah,
what
I
it would
think that's a
cost.
good idea, I know that fraud.
Well, I think it's a
is
good
out there.
idea,
Yeah.
but we just gotta find out the
Yeah,
cost
there's
for it.
definitely been an uptick. There's
Sure.
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I know,
Some people won't put checks in their mailbox.
because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So-
So then, yeah, you're welcome. We have this forecasting comment, which we did have last year and we've modified that. Certainly, the agency has gone through a lot of change with obviously the sale of the building and the hiring of employees. And so the revenues and expenses outlook of the agency is much different. And so our suggestion really is to just have like a forecasting of 5 years, a formal look into that, especially with the change in the organization. And I think probably everyone's doing that mentally, but like to sit down
Get
and
it formal.
have an intentional.
We're gonna do that with the new
Yeah.
board, so.
Yeah. So then our cost allocation comment, this is related to, with CRC and ACUC, there is added administrative costs that aren't directly charged to the organizations. And so this year we recorded 6,000 of fees to ACUC, which really in the end, the loss was transferred to IDA anyway. So, but kind of our point is, we would advise the agency to have a time study or some type of document where they can say it costs us 6,000 to support ACUC, and that's why we charged them that. Because I think right now, you created a budget and, book the fee according to the budget, but I'm not sure there's like actual documentation.
We'll do that for sure with the LDC because that one's gonna be fairly
Yeah,
time intensive.
And then our last note, collateral of cash balances. This year, the balance was about $1 million that is uninsured. You know, putting the cash into the CDs is one way to insure your cash. And then also, if you wanted to, you could contact the bank and they could collateralize.
They're working on that right now.
Yeah, on their own.
We
without-
have contacted them, so
Yeah.
Barb and I have been in discussions with the bank to collateralize our additional operating accounts so that we
Yeah.
would have
So
insurance.
fully covered.
So $1 million over the
That's
FDIC?
correct,
Okay.
yeah.
But we won't, that won't be a
But you get
problem.
250 and-
Once it collateralized, we won't have any issues.
And in the
Yeah.
past, it's not been there ever.
Yeah, it's a good comment to have because that means you have cash.
Right, right.
That needs to
right.
be insured.
Yeah.
But,
I was just gonna go back up to the positive pay and just to tell you like how sophisticated some of the fraudsters are getting. And Dan, you might have heard of this on your end, maybe you had to get involved on it. I was at a conference last week and
thank you.
there were a couple insurance guys, Rich, that were there and you probably know them, they're from Gallagher. And they said they knew of a governmental entity that was in a big capital project. And, you know, within the project, a lot of times there's architects and there's construction managers, and they have a pretty good process about like how bills get paid. These AIA contract, and it has all the cost and labor, and it's all really detailed. And that document went through to the construction manager, got approved, was looked at by the architect, got approved, ultimately approved by the entity to go ahead and pay it. Well, it was a fraudulent AIA contract.
Oh my God.
And ultimately, the way it occurred was that entity, as part of their board packet, you know, was putting the contract up on the website, and again, some fraudster found the contract, made it look exactly the way, everything was exactly the same and how it should have looked, except for where the money was
The account.
eventually
Going
going to. And so, you know, it's kind of one of those things that now you kind of think like, even the public entities, like what are we putting up on our minutes and our website, and to be cautious because
Is that a
Yeah.
school district?
it was a school district, yeah.
Yeah, Ed and I were at the State Bar Association municipal section, and we had a presentation on cybersecurity that was pretty scary. And, you know, we should look at, frankly, our insurance policies in terms of whether or not we have all the cybersecurity insurance in place. I defer to Rich on that. If things happen, some of the things, I mean, wire transfers, for example, are, you know, people will hide out on your emails, and then when they see a wire transfer plan, they'll send an email under your name or fake name if people aren't paying attention, making a slight change in where the wires to go. One of our former colleagues, her partner was worked for a hedge fund, and they wired out $7 million in tranches, and the bank caught it, but not before several million had gone off into the ether with one of the transfers because somebody had done that. The sophistication of these scammers, a lot of which are backed by foreign governments, frankly, is absolutely scary. I will not open an attachment from anybody without sending it to my IT department first, because it's so possible to scam, you know, with any kind of attachment, and then it ends up downloading malware or other things that steal credentials. So I think your warnings are well said, and the action item for the board perhaps is to instruct Craig and his staff to look at, do we have the maximum insurance protections that we have in place just in case?
Be careful, Barb. Whatever you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta be,
Ultimately, it comes down to.
We
brought
need some
it-
You know,
changes too.
we know,
Yeah.
we know what we're paying.
Wow.
That's a good way to end, isn't it? Whoa.
Yeah. So-
It gets harder and harder, doesn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, there are so many, nasty evil things out there, so.
I'm very hesitant when I try to send an email anymore because of that, especially on even the titles.
Yeah.
Do the titles I send do not include what I'm sending. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they could obviously find the title. I go, I'd never give you the title if this is in that someplace in the attachment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, both of you,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
this
Yeah, I have a
detailed
question
account.
before we go.
Yeah, I was
Sure.
gonna say, any other questions?
Yeah.
The treasurer does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
listen to him.
on page 18, under segregation of duties, and, our response down there is the executive director and board treasurer continues to do the bank statement and bank reconciliation monthly. I don't do any of the bank reconciliation at all. I don't think that does.
They're in that packet that you sign every month.
I see the bank statements.
The reconciliation is
What
attached
what would
to
you
it.
define as bank
It's
reconciliation?
in the packet here.
No, that's in
Yeah.
that one. It's not in the bank statements are not in this packet.
Right.
They're in there.
Go ahead.
That he signs with the check and
Yeah,
stuff.
I see the bank statements.
Mhm.
Is
But
that,
the reconciliation
Is it
is
at the bottom?
attached. There's a bank statement and here's the reconciliation attached to it.
Yeah, I see that. I don't know why I was looking at it.
And that's right out of our QuickBooks, right? That
Yeah.
reconciliation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
on our accounts. Just show us the match.
Okay,
Awesome.
anything else? Do we actually need to approve this today or anything like that? I don't see any vote on the agenda.
It's up to you, Dave.
we were leaving it up to you because we know we didn't give it in very much advance.
It's up to the
So,
board,
yeah,
basically.
if you're comfortable approving it. In the past, we've presented and then approved later, but I know there's transition happening, so.
So we don't have any problem getting it approved today
Yeah.
if the board is comfortable. Because usually we try to send it out early, but they didn't get it out till now.
I would just like to have you repeat one of the very first things you said, is about being the highest rate. Tell us what that is again. So,
You have a clean, unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance we can provide.
thank you, make sure you get that in the minutes, Barb.
And we thank Barb
There have
again.
been
Yeah.
years
Thanks to the whole team.
Years that
Yes,
I
I'm
know
sorry. Thank you.
that we have been on the edge.
Yes.
So, right, Dave?
Yeah.
So,
No question about that.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
well,
Thank you.
Jake and Barb work very well together and it
That's,
works
that
very
is
well.
a great comfort to this board.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Thank you, Rich. Second, Randy,
Second,
question,
discussion.
discussion. Yep.
The date on here is March 12th.
We'll have to fix the date.
Changed
Right.
today.
That's why they're,
Correct.
yeah, that's why.
That's why it's got it in yellow.
Yeah.
That makes more sense for this board to actually approve it because you're the board that, it's your
It's very
document. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay,
That unfortunately means I actually can do the PARS report
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
No, no
No
excuses.
excuses this year, Craig.
okay, with that change then, the motion stands to, approve this financial report.
Well, the other thing is, change that, we're not currently bonded because they,
Yeah.
Right,
Yes.
they had to try and cover it.
Yeah.
yeah, because you actually have that.
Every employee of them and the board.
I know we-
members all are covered by the crime.
Rich keeps us up to date on that. You did a good job a couple years
We
ago.
increased it.
I know you
That's
did.
one thing. Yeah. I'm trying to get the amount, but I don't have it.
We can get you that.
Yeah.
We'll make that work.
We'll make it.
We'll get you the exact amount, 'cause I think it is $1 million.
And then we'll get you, we need the management rep letter that I haven't provided.
Another one.
We'll just
yeah,
need to
yeah,
sign.
just get it. Okay, we're fine.
I think we're ready to vote then. All those in favor of accepting this financial report, with our thanks to BWB, and Dave and Eric. All those in, is there a second? Wait,
Oh, we got it. Randy.
yeah, we got
Randy
it,
did.
I'm sorry. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
John, did you know?
Making sure.
Just calling you out.
I'm listening for every vote,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Later.
guys.
Thank you very much.
See you.
Pleasure to work with you.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Well.
Thank you. Good seeing everyone.
Yeah, nice seeing you.
Thank you.
Gary, thank you for all your good work.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is the executive session. Is there,
Do we need it for anything?
I think Brooke would like to say something before we go into executive session.
You're the best, because I know how executive sessions go.
Yeah.
Sometimes they last longer than.
No, it's gonna be a short one. We don't have much to do with.
Allison and I are up against a meeting.
No, what I'm saying,
but
that's what I'm saying.
okay if I jump in.
Yeah.
Like hijack your time.
Sure.
You can jump on the table if you want.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anything, Brooke.
The board asked me to come, see you guys in person tonight. Most importantly, thank Rich and Randy and Judy for their service on the ACIDA Board and to the county. You know, from our vantage point down in Belmont, the progress you guys have made on this board from when I started, 8 years ago, is just night and day, not just in the financial position, but, the great projects and, the economic development work you guys have been doing. We genuinely appreciate it. So, I'll talk maybe a little bit about the process that our board undertook to come up with the appointments for this year. We're gonna say maybe a month or 6 weeks ago, Craig and Judy and I met just very casually, talked over the process. I kind of picked their brains a little bit about, what qualifications and areas of expertise they would like to see on the board. We were generally in agreement on that. As you know, we opened it up, I don't like to call it an application process, but requested letters of interest from members of the community to join the board. Our board had already kind of determined that we were interested in expanding from 5 to 7 members. And I think Craig started to come around a little bit in the last year or so, and he's not in the room, so I can say that. He might disagree, but I guess he said he could work with 7. From our perspective, there's opportunity to bring more diverse skill sets to the board with 7 than with 5. And so operating under that assumption, and when we put the bat signal out looking for interest, we were hoping to find 7 qualified candidates. But we're aware that if we didn't get 7, we weren't gonna force 7 members if we didn't have 7 good candidates. So, how people always say, something's a good problem to have. We had so many excellent, really qualified applicants, and, someone would maybe say that's a good problem to have. For me personally, I didn't find it to be a good problem because it's very, actually personally upsetting to me that Judy is not gonna continue on the board. I think, I brought the list, and I don't know if you guys, other than Judy, were all privy to the applicants we got. But I think we had 13 or 14 really excellent candidates. And so unfortunately, some very excellent candidates were not chosen to serve on the next term. So next week, the board is going to consider the appointments that were decided upon in our executive session in their planning and development meeting. I always look to the attorney to make sure I'm not saying something wrong. And then it's going to go to the full board, and so they will be installed before the March meeting.
So you guys are out for you don't have to come again, Randy.
So just for your knowledge, the 7 that were selected by the board to be considered at these upcoming meetings are Doug Frank, Joe Hart, and I'm just going to assume not everybody knows who these people are. Joe Hart is technical sales manager at Siemens. Steve Morrow, president of Alfred State. Tom McElhaney, who's a retired civil engineer from
CPL, yeah.
Bill engineer is a county legislator and businessman from
Whitesville Wood Products, yeah.
John Rickey is going to be remaining on the board, and Terry Ross, the recently retired county treasurer, is number 7. So again, it was a really difficult process for us. A little bit of inside baseball from my perspective. When I came on board, and for I suppose decades prior, the process of not just picking IDA appointments, but any of our advisory board appointments, largely was a chairman's decision, regardless of whether or not, chairperson's decision, regardless of whether or not by law it was a chair's appointment or a board appointment, or a chair's appointment board approval. So John will remember we came out at the same time. We would just get a piece of paper put on our desks and say, these are the appointments, vote them up or vote them down. And so we didn't use that method this time. And it's really challenging, I found, to ask one board, of 15 members to try to come up with, if not consensus, a large majority of appointments to a 7-member board. It's for some really ugly sausage making. But we took our job seriously and we took our time with it. We had Craig come down and on behalf of you guys, and I think did an excellent job communicating what your board thinks is the important characteristics to have in board members. And we took that information seriously and took it to heart. We deliberated for a number of hours over the application. And at the end of the day, those are the 7 that we came up with. We're super confident in the selections that we made. We're really looking forward to seeing how the IDA in the next term builds on the good work that you guys have done. The only thing I'll mention, and Craig, it was a thought that Craig had, and it sounds like you concurred, and I certainly do, is it would be nice to figure out a way, and again, I'm going to look to the attorney, but it's probably going to be a bylaw issue on your end, figure out a way to maybe stagger these terms so we can ensure that in the future we don't have big turnovers. Losing Judy is a big loss for this board. Very happy to have finance coming back, knowing that, I'm sure you're not going to be here forever, so we feel good. It's not a fait accompli that Terry Ross takes over that function whenever you decide to find something more interesting to do. But at least there's somebody in place that has those credentials that if you want to go that way, you can. That's where happy John's coming back. He'll provide some stability as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have. But I want to thank you for the work you've done.
Did you mention their 3-year terms?
They are 3-year terms because as they are now, they coincide with the board terms, and because of the elections on even numbered years change with the state, all of our board members are 3 years this year instead of 4. So that means that the IDA board will follow the same.
But hopefully in the future, we can at least consider, like we said, trying to stagger them. That would make more sense if we could.
Yeah, I don't think we have to go back to the state legislature to do that, but we've done that for some boards and we've never had a problem. It's a home rule measure that usually gets approved very easily. But what you do is you basically say the next time you appoint people at the county level, you appoint them into the slots of 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year. And at that point, the following terms are then 3 years each. So we've done that sometimes through legislation if it's necessary. I don't believe your particular enabling legislation would require us to go back to the state legislature because you're not one of the entities like Erie County where the legislature really dictated who had to be on the board. It really is up to the county to serve at the county's pleasure. But we can certainly put together a governance document for you and advise you how to do that. And I certainly agree with the chairman that it creates stability to have that kind of situation.
Just build the IDA board for that work, not the county.
Don't worry, he does.
Well, thanks for coming and explaining all that. It was nice of you. I agree with you about Judy. I think that's a bad decision. I mean, it's just wrong and it's bad.
pass that on to our board.
Can I say that in the end?
I would echo
Yeah.
that also.
Yeah.
It's a bad decision.
It is.
I'm in that camp with them.
Oh, you started.
Well, you agree, you said you agree, so.
Can I ask you just for clarification on that situation?
Judy's our chairman, and she's not gonna be on the board, you know, because the legislature voted her off.
Well, they haven't yet.
I'm
Well,
not
sounds like
sure
it's
this
gonna happen.
is,
Yeah, I'm just saying, but the proposal is that
Discussion.
Judy Hopkins.
Let's hold
Yeah,
this
let's-
conversation
yeah.
and names,
This is
et cetera,
Yeah.
until executive session if we see the need.
It's,
But
All
let's
right.
stop talking about
Yeah.
it during the open
Okay,
session.
thank you.
but thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Brooke?
No, but thank you for the time.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
she had a question.
and thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Have a good day, Rich.
Thanks, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
Or you want her to get out?
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're gonna go into executive.
We are, yeah, we are. It may not be long.
It's not gonna be
It'll
long.
be a short one if
You
you just
never
got in the
know.
hall.
You never know. So,
You could probably hear us, but maybe not.
For free coffee somewhere?
Right there, Jim.
There is, but it's in here.
Grab it on your way out.
I'm good.
That was interesting, you came in for the DOD thing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Will we go into executive session?
Thank you, second,
Second.
okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Just a minute.
We're in executive session. favor, aye.
Aye.
We're live.
Executive
We're live.
session.
I'll let-
Aye.
I'll let you know. You still here?
Okay, our first order of business out of the executive session is to discuss the revised personnel policy. That's,
Yeah, there were some minor revisions, but the biggest revision is we had to add some things about work day as far as how many hours, because otherwise we wouldn't be eligible for the state retirement process.
Right, you have two options with a state retirement. You can either have a completely separate policy stating what your standard work days are for part and full-time people, or you can make it part of your personnel policy. I'm sure you're all aware that I have a background in HR, so at that opportunity to revise this, I went through.
Thank you for putting it in red.
Yeah, no problem. For the opportunity to revise this, I went through and worked with Craig and Barb and cleaned up some of the language, just so it was much clearer and much more direct. And so that's really why the minor things besides workday are rewritten, just to be very clear and so they don't have ambiguity, really.
And it's really to make us compliant, so we
Right,
be eligible
New
for
York
state
State,
retirement.
Local and, New York State and local retirement. Yep.
The
This
only-
part is required.
The only changes, all in red?
Yes.
I don't ever remember seeing a personnel.
We
Well,
already,
last
we
summer.
passed it last
No,
summer.
last summer.
We had to do it when we hired.
We had real people, when we hired people.
So it's an existing policy, we're just editing.
Okay.
On page 2, Melissa, at the very top, the 5 crossed out and then the new 5, about compensation for vacation days. Do you want to just explain what that change is?
Sure, actually Barb and I went through this and we talked to Craig about it, because really, the old number 5 was really redundant, because we're already stipulating through the previous numbers that it's really all based around the fact that we'll allow people to carry 40 hours if they're full-time and 20 hours, or their standard work week if they're part-time. So 5 isn't really struck, it's just redundant, if that makes any sense. We weren't taking that provision out. So if you read through 3, 4, and the new 5, they cover exactly how vacation will work, when you can use it, and that you can carry some time.
Okay.
So that's really the reason.
We were just limiting the time you could carry, and it was redundant to say to use your,
Right, you had to use it.
you had to use it
So
already.
this is basically now that they will be compensated for vacation days in the calendar year in which they were earned
Correct.
if he or she terminates, sorry, I can't get that word out, terminates employment in that year.
Right.
So,
Correct.
okay, so it's very specific.
Right.
Okay.
So in other words, if you carry 40 hours, you're not, and you didn't use them, you're not getting compensated for those, just the ones you've earned based on, when you leave. So
Okay.
that was important.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been working on some boards, and I know one executive director retired, and he actually had a whole
You
year's
said
worth
that,
of
I
retirement.
remember.
And they're paying him for a whole another year, which I think is bizarre.
That is
Whoa.
kind of crazy. Yeah, we're allowing.
We don't
it.
want to do that.
All right, we don't need to get in that kind of, at that point, you have to account for that time and money in your accounting records.
Accrual.
Because it's accrual, yeah, it's an accrual of quite a bit of money for a year of owed vacation. So at this rate, we don't have to do that.
Okay, good. Any other questions about it?
Yeah, and the PTO leave says you get 12 days. You use it basically personally, and it says, and for including funerals. And then down below under bereavement, there's 3 days. Now, is that 3 days
But 3
plus,
days, well,
or is that included in the PTO? How does that
No, it's
work?
3 days plus, just because it says a very specific immediate family. That's pretty typical clause in a personnel policy, where if you think of 1 degree of separation, your parents, your children, your in-laws, those people are included in a special bereavement clause where you just get 3 extra days if one of them passes away because of, and if you need more than that, then you have to go into using personal.
Or another
So
funeral
that's over and
sometime.
above the person.
Right.
Correct, right, and so if you need 5 whole days, if you're in charge of those works and everything, then you need to take an extra 2 of your own time, but you get 3.
How did I miss this last time? What's this? Just because I do
Go
contracts
ahead, yeah,
safely, that sounds
that's
like.
required.
That's
then.
required
We don't have
to
any
state.
of our contracts at the county. We've got 5 contracts. No,
If
that
you
was-
have, you probably have a provision in there that says by New York State law, they can be used per those, and doesn't explicitly state it, because it has to be able to be used for safe leave.
No, we don't have that now. You got personal time to use it the way you want to use it.
Right.
So we don't ask if it's for safety.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, you probably have some provision in there that say, within New York State laws, you can use this, and New York State laws explicitly states that you can use your time off, and it has to be a certain bucket, which we cover, for all these things.
I You know, it's already in there. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but
Right.
what's next you're gonna put, safely?
I was gonna say, Rich
It spells
questioned
out
it
all
before.
this junk, you know, I just. don't-
I can look into it for you.
No, that's fine.
That safely,
Oh, yeah. That's, I mean,
he
in my-
questioned it
in my-
before.
in my, I mean,
It is
I'm
ridiculous.
not gonna be on this board, that's the only reason I'm not talking about that.
But other than that, I just had to bring that up, because that is,
It is.
it sounds like it came.
It's
pretty
required.
old stuff.
So
What it is.
Well, and then,
This
and
is the
then,
wrong county for that.
Yeah, but we don't have any of our county contractors. There's not a word about safety. I'm just telling
I mean, if you're interested.
you. No, leave it. I'm just saying, I'm just.
No, I
Voice
researched
my
it when we
opinion for the
developed
most
this and it's required,
So-
because Rich questioned it before.
It's required because we're a pseudo-government entity, you mean?
It's,
It's under New York State,
it's
it was
required
required.
for public and private entities. By New York State law.
I guarantee you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well,
That's why I didn't bring it up.
we'll leave that one on the floor.
Anyway,
Okay, we have to approve this, or we have the option to approve it today. So I would take a motion to approve the personnel policy.
I will move.
Thank you, John. Second, John, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moved and seconded that we approve this personnel policy of February 2026. Any questions? If not, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All those, that is passed. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. That was the last thing, so now we can sign up for.
No, well, we did, they said.
I know, but we had to have this done.
Retroactively, they
Right.
allowed us to approve it at this board meeting, even though they said you'll go live February 1st as long as you have a working personnel policy with these provisions. So we're good.
Thank you.
New York State local retirement.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
they've been tough. We've.
Sorry, that was the big reason for the update,
You finally, you in it now?
She is now.
as of February 1st. Well, I mean, Barb's trying to make sure it's all working, but so she's got.
I haven't heard
Get it
any
as soon
more.
as you can.
Actually, this Friday will be the first time we see if it's working, pretty
Right.
much, so we'll see.
Okay, the next order of business is to discuss and approve the revised UTAP. Do you want to talk about that, Craig?
Basically, the UTEP, we changed it for two different things. We actually increased the pilot from 2,500 to 3,000 per megawatt for small solar. And then we added the provision for energy storage as well. And, oh yes, and then we've been approving projects up to 30 years for pilots. But we've had to go a deviation every time, so this changes the UTEP so that we can go up to 30 years. Before it said
We
15.
have the ability, right? So we don't have to do DD.
So it doesn't, it's basically putting in place what we've been trying to do, but we've had to do a deviation every time.
So what's the tax, like, percentage or whatever during that 30 years, if we went 30 years ago? How was that?
What's that?
What would the property taxes do?
Well, they are-
How would pilot do? over-
The pilot,
It's always calculated.
it's always calculated out, so it'd be 3,000 per megawatt. So if it's a 5 megawatt system, it'd be 15,000, and it's to basically increases 2% per
Do
year.
with an escalator, same, but now for 3,000.
And they still pay all of their property taxes. This is a pilot.
Right, and Dan and Ed have their finger on the pulse of the local or national solar market, to be fair, and they recommended this 3,000 increase as a market rate that's happening right now.
Because 2,500 has been in place for about
It's low.
7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And that goes to the town, school, and county?
Yes,
Okay.
and they're all paid
Split up.
up. Yep, they're all paid up based upon their tax rates. Yes.
Okay, we need a motion.
Do you have any questions, Jim?
No, not yet.
Okay, now, is there any discussion of this? After we have a motion, but we don't have the motion yet. So who wants to make a motion?
I'll make
Thank you. Second by Randy. Thank you. Is there any more discussion about it?
Only the size of a project that we'll consider. Do we have a minimum? We've talked about it in the past because we've been approached for small projects before.
You know, with the state adopting a model, wind and solar, you're not seeing really small solar projects. And even some 5 megawatt ones are not coming to you. So I think there's a point where coming to you just doesn't make financial sense for the really small projects.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not over $1 million, I mean, so many megawatts, they're not gonna come to us
Yeah,
anyways.
I can't believe anybody who's not spending at least $1 million would come to you.
And I think it's important to note that, I can't remember, I think it was Ed, maybe it was Dan, that suggested this paragraph in blue. If you look at the red line version, I don't see page numbers, so it's a big paragraph in blue at the top that commented the changes due to the Burns letter, but Hudson and Russ recommended this as well. And just for clarification, the battery storage might be listed as 200 megawatts as the nameplate capacity, but they may never be able to provide more than 150 to the grid. And that's a scientific calculation that has nothing to do with us. And so that's the ability to call that the number of megawatts that we'll base the fee on. That's really what's happened. And it was our lawyers and also Burns.
That was one thing that
supervisor.
Burns did. They didn't show up, but they sent us a letter.
But they
So
were
we
concerned about
reflected
that.
that change because they're actually negotiating energy storage project right now.
And I think it's important to note that the only comment we got, no one attended, Craig and I were there alone. The only comment we got, we did take seriously and incorporate based on the town supervisor's suggestion, so.
So I guess maybe I do have a question. So currently our town has a law on the books that does not allow a facility to be developed without paying local taxes in our town.
All right.
Can I be overridden by A, you folks, or B, the state, and this might be for the fellow on the
For
screen.
Dan?
For Dan, yes, thank you. Can I be overridden on that?
We've already been overridden. If there's two ways of getting tax relief. One is to go to the IDA. The IDA is separate from the town rules. On the other hand, this IDA has always had a policy of make the towns happy. So the IDA is not required to give relief to any entity that is not, that the town doesn't approve of either the project or the financial arrangements. It's up to the board to decide what to do. But technically, if only the IDA board has say over that. In terms of the other type of tax exemption that's available under 487, you can exempt yourself out of that and say, we're not going to, for us, for the town, not allow a tax exemption and you have to pay full taxes. That's usually not an issue for the companies because the town taxes are usually the smallest share. What we see a lot is a lot of towns have requirements that you must enter into a host community agreement. Technically, such requirements are illegal. There's actually court cases that have said those are illegal. On the other hand, the way the developers look at it is, we really would like to make the towns happy. And so if it's a fair number, and that's what the UTEP policy is trying to get to, is that the IDA is supporting fair numbers for these host agreements and frankly requiring them. State law requires them also for the larger projects. The IDA board has a lot of discretion there, but I apologize, but technically the state has already overridden you on certain things in terms of an IDA pilot, but not on 487. That's totally up to you. You have a right to require a pilot under 487, even if you allow it up to the full amount of taxes.
And I'm sorry, what's a 487?
The real property tax law section 487 is the method of obtaining a tax exemption on renewable energy projects other than going to an IDA.
But Jim, the policy of this board, we've never got into a town where a town doesn't want the project. So if you or your town board does not want a project, we're not working with that developer.
And I think Centerville changed their board, voters changed their board so that they could have this wind project, because I think the old board wasn't going to approve it, I believe. I don't know.
And we would have not approved that except for the Centerville board approved it and wanted to go forward.
Yes.
So you see what I'm saying? So
The taxpayers.
So you're pretty much covered by our board policy, but we don't, and we've never been into a community unless they've wanted the project.
What town are you from? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Oh.
Town Ward.
From.
Town Ward.
Ward, okay.
He's
thank
my
you.
neighbor.
Oh, okay, thanks. Interesting to know.
We also actually turned down a request this past year where they had not gotten approval from the village of Andover and town of Andover. And this board declined to provide financial assistance to that project.
They didn't believe we'd do it, but we did. We didn't want it, so we said, no, we're not gonna help them.
I mean, I'm not against development, I'm only looking out for the benefit of our town.
And I understand. That's why we only work with towns that really want these projects.
was one major question. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions before we call for a vote? This is a roll call vote, so, we'll start the voting. Judy Hopkins votes yes. Randy?
Aye.
Rich?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John? All right, Doug.
Whoa.
We had a name change here.
Look bad.
You thought your name was Doug, right? No, that's
It's
my
like an
name.
auction.
It's an auction.
Just kidding. We,
All eyes.
okay, all ayes, that vote is passed. Okay, moving on. Discuss and approve the UTEP, the revised UTEP.
Just did that.
You just did that.
Yeah, the fee.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm getting old.
Madam Chair, just one note, and that UTEP, it asks for a date when it would be the start date. I assume we just have it effective as of
Today.
Today.
tomorrow, or do you want? to-
Whatever, it'd be
Today?
tomorrow. It's fine. We don't have any projects in the opera yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along then. The Alley Wind Lake View penalty.
I'll talk about that.
Sure.
Craig called me about it and said, well, what do you think about this fee and how much do you think it should be? And I can't remember the amount, like $2,000 or something like that. And I'm like, well, first of all, I wanted all this money up front. First, I didn't want to allow them to pay
Stagger.
installments. I wanted it all up front. But the board, everybody else on the board said, let's do installments. I voted yes for that, so.
But you made it clear you didn't want that.
Well, I think if they have $1 billion, they can pay little Allegheny County IDA the fee. But
I know.
anyway, we allowed it. And now they're paying these late. And I think this is the second year in a row they paid it late. And I think we need to make it sting. And I don't think $2,000 or $10,000 is enough money. That's just my opinion in a nutshell. But it's the board opinion, and if the board thinks that whatever somebody's, thinking is quote unquote appropriate, then that's fine. But,
I just wanted to
this
speak
is
to
a
that
$1 billion
because
project.
Craig asked me to look into other
Yeah.
ideas. And so it is across the board, almost ubiquitously, a 1% per month, like the up to 12% for the year. So I just wanted to let you know
We
that
don't-
that's pretty typical.
Did we ever have a contract to allow them to pay in installments, or there's nothing in writing?
There's a letter saying they
That
would
is
pay.
not correct. You do have things in writing.
No, I
So
asked
let's
the
break it down
question,
in
do we
pieces.
have one?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, you do. So
What does it say?
They signed an application with you where they agreed to pay your, their, what's called rent, basically, in one number. Your board then passed a resolution allowing them to pay it in installments. But the penalty is under the lease, and the lease requires them to make the payments that you allowed them to make on time. And they did not. Therefore, you have a right to a penalty up to the amount that was just explained. I think it was at 12,000, I think was the maximum.
It's 1%, which is 12% annual, so it's 1% per month.
Does the contract say it's 1% and an annual fee, or does it say it's prorated by month? I mean, is it in writing? Does it say? Because if it does, why are we even talking about
It's sent
it?
to you.
We're not.
That's the
I
lease
mean-
it's in the lease agreement. It's not, the maximum amount that you can penalize them for after a 10-day cure period is 12% per annum amount prorated over the year, which I think was what was explained. But yeah, we sent you that. It's in section 5.3 of the lease agreement. That's
I
the
didn't see it.
agreement you were looking at was the
I didn't see it.
expired project agreement. That was sales tax only.
So it's
The
in
rent
this
is
packet?
due
No.
under
No.
the lease.
Let's
And
see.
it's due for the life of the project or until they make the full payments. So, the penalty amount is,
Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see it in
I'm gonna
writing.
get it for you.
Yeah, I want to see it. I don't know why it's not in our packet.
It is in writing. We've sent it to you 3 times. It's section 5.3.
Well, Dan, I think we probably paid you to send it to us, right? So, I mean, I don't think I'm being, I don't think I'm being
To you,
irresponsible. I'm trying to be responsible for our IDA.
Rich, what do you think you don't have? It's in the lease. Ed sent it to you directly.
Okay. I didn't see it. I did not see it. I'm not saying I didn't see the lease. I didn't see where it said 12%, but you can only charge 1% per month.
Okay.
I think Melissa is getting it.
Yeah.
If we have a document that lays this out, Why are
Right.
we having this conversation?
Right.
Well, we found it, I didn't have it, and then we found it, and that's why I sent it out that we have it, it's a 1% annum, it's up to 12% per year. When I originally discussed it, I didn't have it, I was in a different document. I found it, Ed found it, or Dan found it, I don't know which one found it, and sent it out, and it's 1%, which is 12% annum. So that's the fee that's allowable, and they know it's coming.
It's 1% of what they owe us this
1.3
year?
million,
Or
what
what they owe us
was late,
total?
what was late.
Okay.
1.3 million, so it's
It's not-
13,000. Well, the other's not late yet.
Okay.
Well, I guess we can move on until she gets that if you want.
Well,
We don't have to sit around waiting, we go to the next item.
Okay, just to make sure that everybody's clear, this section that we're talking about is in every single deal you have. It's a standard language in every one of your leases, and it applies to everybody. In the past, we've had some small folks who didn't pay the fee on time, and frankly, the board hasn't been concerned about it. This is very different, obviously. But if anybody else needs a copy of the lease, besides the fact that it's on your website, we're happy to send you a copy.
Craig, who actually is the entity that owes us this money? Is it?
Inver Energy,
Inver Energy, okay.
yeah, Inver Energy used the company. Yes.
It's Alley Cat Wind.
Well, they set up Alley Cat Wind, so they're,
Subsidiary
yeah,
of,
because everyone sets up an LLC, you know what I'm saying? So
Does anybody at Hodgson Russ work with Inver Energy or aren't they your client?
Yes, we work with Invenergy, and this board granted us a waiver, and we have told Invenergy that this board, that they were late and they owe this board a penalty, and they're well aware of the amounts.
And I've
that
talked
are
to
due under
Sean
the
too.
lease.
We've talked to Sean, and Sean knows that.
Yeah, Sean Perry, who's been working with you, he's well aware that the corporate people paid the payment late.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, they're a big organization, and unfortunately, I talked to him many, many times, he just couldn't get it through their system.
And is it safe to assume that the next payment will be on time?
So there's nothing in this.
Yes.
I don't tell you where, but I just.
I mean, there's
It is
nothing.
safe
I don't
to
think
assume that
there's
people much
anything.
further up in the organization have been told this can't happen again.
Right.
Okay.
I honestly
Well,
don't see it, maybe they can point out where it is, I don't see it, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it can happen again if we're gonna charge them whatever. It can absolutely happen again. And I don't see anything in this piece of paper that talks about it. Maybe it's page 14.
18, yeah, it's section 5.3, Dan, and it says the 10 days, but I don't see the 1%, sorry.
No,
I
it
emailed
doesn't
everyone.
say,
Fine, Ed, do you remember where the 1% is? I know it's in the lease, but
Yeah, it's, the section 5.3 talks about it.
Okay, where is it at? I'm looking at it.
We're trying to find it.
I'm a skim reader. I'm a terrible skim reader. Administrative. Reasonable expenses, leasing,
Skimming. Catches an awful lot of things.
company shall fail to make a payment in 10 days, such payment is due. I don't see the number,
I emailed it to all of you, just so you have it right there.
You have the lease agreement in front of you?
And it's in your email, I just sent it to everyone, just so we could all look at the same thing. So it should be in your email from me, 'cause it's 84 pages, so it's not like I could print it on the fly, sorry.
It's not in there.
so
Oh, I found it, it's under
what you have
page
to
number,
look at,
I found it,
what you have to look at is in the definitions,
I found it.
there's a definition called the default interest rate.
right,
And the default interest rate, it is what is set to 12%. And that is on page, why does my computer keep jumping around
Thing
here?
24, Dan, I just found it.
that's the problem, because there's two different places, it says,
Yeah, there
it
is.
doesn't really say 12% in the first
Page
place.
24, I believe.
Page 24, it actually defines what that
I think it's
Yeah.
number
interest rate is.
Page A-2, which is page 49 of the PDF that has the 12%.
Jeez.
But that's the problem, because when you're first mentioned in there, it only tells you,
The late time, but it
the late-
doesn't tell you.
it tells you, but it doesn't tell you the
The
12%, doesn't tell you,
Correct.
it says there's a penalty, but it doesn't tell you the 12%
Yeah.
interest rate.
Right, it's somewhere else, you're right.
Right, and then there are discussions in the agreement of what is an event of default. and that triggers this, and remedies on default.
No, that's not.
But it's the interest rate is under the definition of default interest rate, which is what's incorporated.
That one only says default interest rate.
What page on the PDF?
I can get that for you.
It's 49 on the PDF, Rich.
Okay, so at the top it says executive officer, chief financial officer, is that how it starts?
If I'm looking at the right page, I think that's right. It's a group of definitions.
Default interest rate means per annum rate of interest equal to
Right,
12%.
so then if you go to section 5.3, where it talks about,
It
within
says,
this section 5.3, within 10 days of the date such payment is due, the company shall pay, together with interest thereon at the default interest rate,
And then that-
or the maximum rate permitted by law, whichever is less.
what's the maximum amount permitted by law?
I'm fairly certain the maximum rate in New York for usury is more than 12%. So from the date on which the payment is due until the date on which a payment is made.
He said the lesser of the
We have to
two.
use the lesser, yes.
Every one of those I've ever seen says more. Whichever is more.
Right, I mean, I think
Up
it's
to
the same
the
thing.
law.
You've seen him say more?
Mhm.
So where does it say that it's not 12 per year? It says per annum. And then where does it say it's prorated or you can prorate it?
Doesn't it say from the date it was due until the date it's paid?
I'm just reading the definition. And
Okay,
of
so if you
default
go back to
interest rate.
5.3, Rich.
It's not over there, it's the last place I showed you. It's not in 5.3, Dan, and in 5.3, it doesn't stipulate that, it stipulates it under, on page 19. In section D of, 6.6D, Dan.
I think it's section C of 5.3, isn't it?
No, it doesn't, it just says interest. You have to go to 6.6D. 6.6D, it's there. Just says interest under 5.3. So 6.6D, where that's yellow, that's where it says the 1%.
Here it says, yeah, in 5.3, it says that it's from the due date
Okay.
until the payday.
Right.
Okay. That's when it's supposed to be prorated from that?
Prorated, yes.
But it also stipulates a 10-day grace as well. In 5.3.
Well, was it paid by January 10th?
Yes.
Okay, so where are we?
Well, I'm just one guy, so I.
Do we have to
don't care what
notify them
we
to
can
pay us?
table it. I don't
They
care.
already know.
No,
We'll get an invoice to them.
Well,
I'm just saying that
We're planning to invoice them for the 1%.
the only reason they paid only 10 days late is because we told
I
them.
wanna get the money.
It did get in their process, yeah. I followed up after it was late and they just couldn't get it back in the process quick enough.
Okay, so we're supposed
You know, I was trying to get it on
Yeah,
time,
that's the
obviously.
Right, I
to
just,
approve
I guess
those.
it won't happen again.
So we need to know what that's gonna be. That's what we need.
What's that?
We need to define what it is that we have to approve here.
Right, Arizona.
Well,
Thank you.
The actual is 1% of the fee, which is whatever, the 1.348 million, so it's 1% of that, so it's 13,000, whatever.
Okay, we're gonna ask you to restate that.
Why do we have to?
When.
We don't need any kind of.
Why do we have to?
It's not we have to approve it. What
Well,
is- we have to
it's just
approve it.
It's in the contract, so, but the board has to recognize that's what the late fee is going to be. You don't have to really approve it because it's already in the contract.
Okay, so
So
we're just.
the recognition is that we're going to bill them a late fee of 1% of the $1.3 million, which is 13,000 some dollars.
Okay, so let the minutes show that we agree to that. We don't really have to vote on it.
No, because it's already in the contract.
So just let the minutes show exactly what we're supposed
We're
to do.
making sure that everybody knows what the late fee is going to be.
Okay,
It's acknowledgement, really.
okay.
Thank you,
Is
Doug.
the board good with that then?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we will move along to the Moraine Solar interim sales tax closing fee.
Yeah, the Marine Solar, and I sent that out in text form, is basically, it's a $212 million project. And they really want to start signing contracts, and by signing the contracts, that way they'd like to have the sales tax document so that the people know that they can put that in their bid, that there'd be no sales tax on there. and they're gonna be closing with us. They'll be paying the full fee, the other $2 million, what's left, sometime in the next month or two, whenever they close. So they're not asking for any length of time. They're only wanting to pay the 10% for the sales tax part and then pay the full amount when they close, which is 1 to 2 months. Right, Dan?
That's correct.
But it's such a big number, I wasn't gonna do that without having board approval to do the 10%.
Certainly the Moraine Solar project has been in the works for many, many years.
10 years.
At least. And, yeah.
It's one of the first projects I talked to when I got this job.
I'm still trying to figure out exactly where it is, so I drive through there.
Yeah, what's nice about Marine and then the Zenobia one, if they go along, I think they're really another year out, is these are the first two projects in my, some 30 years with you all, that we've done anything in the town of Burns. So it's really kind of nice to be supporting projects out there.
Okay. Okay, so, the sales tax closing fee is,
Will be 10% of the total project fee.
okay, do we have a motion on that? Or do we have to have a motion?
Yes, because I want to have recognition
Okay.
of Desert.
Okay, we need a motion to approve that,
To close on the sales tax with a 10% of the fee. And then the remainder of the fee will be due when they close the full project, which will be a month or two.
okay.
Because they're going to start work this summer.
So it's gonna be 2.1 million. Okay, do we have a motion for that? I'll make the motion.
Randy just wants to be here all day.
No, I have to be out of here by 12:30. Okay. Moving
Greg,
second
Mr. Madam Chairman, unfortunately, I have a 12 o'clock call. Is there anything, I don't know if that can stay on. Is there anything else you need me for?
No,
I don't think so.
after
no.
this, we're good, we're done.
Well, I want to say publicly that I cannot overstate what a great honor it is to have been working with those of you who are leading the board for the period of time that I have. I too have been slowing down a bit, if you will, as it takes more of the reins. But it has just been such a great journey with each of you, and I'm honored to call each of you clients. I'm more honored to call each of you a friend. So thank you.
For sure. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Clock, as Richard say, the clock's off, right?
The clock is off for that. I was on.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know I'm teasing him. I gotta tease Dan, he's a good friend.
He's gone. He is a great friend. Yeah. And you're doing a great job for us, so thank you very much too. Okay, so we need a vote, folks.
Yep, thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is passed. Okay, the ADA mission and measurement report of 2020.
It's a 1 or 2 page report. You've approved this before. It's part of the Paris report that the board has reviewed their mission, knows what you're doing basically, and knows, basically I have to file it as part of the Paris report. It's a very short 1 page. I've taken
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just the answers to those questions.
Second.
right there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moved and seconded to approve this. All those in favor, please say
I got a
aye.
little discussion. I think the next board needs to look at that carefully.
Sure.
Because I think we're doing some stuff that is not mentioned here, but it's not our place to take it up. But I think, Doug. It's up to you.
Passing the torch.
John, yeah.
Well, they're gonna be reviewing everything.
We're
There's a
doing
new board.
stuff that's not on there, so, or we're being asked.
I think they should also really look at the BWD report.
I'm sure they will. They'll get a copy.
Okay, yeah, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is passed, thank you.
The only other thing is Melissa, Melissa or Barb sent out the review of the board itself, individual
Oh, the evaluation?
evaluation. If
I
you could
haven't
get
gotten any of them back.
If you could get that in.
You
Yes,
do,
you are.
because it's for last year. You will have to get it.
It's evaluating last year, not this year.
They're thinking you
So
were
just another
responsible.
reminder that I get, because I'm doing the Paris report for last year.
Okay.
Right.
And I have to have this on file. This does not go to the Paris report, but I have to click off a box. That it's
And
been
we
done.
have to post it to be compliant. It must be posted. It must be you guys, yeah.
Each board member.
Yeah,
engagements is.
we don't put it, what you are, we consolidate it into one report.
Yeah.
Or we send it to everybody.
Well, why don't you do this?
I think it's
Before we
supposed to
leave,
find
if you
out.
could print off a copy so they can take it with
The
them.
paper.
That'd be better,
If you want to leave with a paper copy, Barb's gonna provide paper.
Yeah, we'll print up a copy before you leave.
Okay. Well, it's 12:30. Yeah.
Well, we'll send you two, but I'm just
Okay.
saying, if you want one, I'll have a printed copy for you, okay?
You can
Okay.
sit in the lobby and fill it out if you want.
Well, we're getting short, so it depends on what you want me to report on. I can skip most of these. We don't have anything on the AC Power report.
Okay.
We already did the microenterprise grant. I continue to work with Ashley on the EDO Gateway. You've been seeing that publicly. They're gonna start construction on the water and sewer line this summer.
And on that note, we have another meeting coming up with Rock Wilson, so that's the next kind of step there, right?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Clean energy projects, like Dan said, there's not a lot of new ones. We're basically closing a couple of small projects, but the one that, where's the one at up in the North Country? Where do they go? Rushford, up in Rushford. So, and the business park, we continue to work with them. They've got a potential client. Hopefully they'll be coming in soon. And the EPA grant, we continue to do phase 1 and phase 2. So there's nothing really, no updates to speak of.
We have some new projects coming up in Roswell that we're looking at, and we're working on those right now, getting permission to do the phase 1 there. So.
The other thing I really wanted to make sure we discussed was the annual report and the one pager, because Melissa's done a great job on those.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
it really is.
So you're going out with a big bang, our first real annual report.
Can I ask who's leading the board? Rich is leading and Judy's leading?
Everybody except these two. 3 of us.
Randy's fully really retiring and Rich has gone south.
Yeah, been going south a long time. So can I just kind of say what the reason why I'm here?
Sure.
Yeah, please do.
Twofold. One is in the energy sector. Personally, I've never seen an energy development scenario that left the community in better condition than it was when they came in terms of environment, when projects were done and closed. For instance, nuclear power facilities, mining operations, et cetera, et cetera. As an allegorical tale, I was in the woods doing a job in Allentown one day, and the fellow said to me, be careful of the EPA. I said, EPA? He said, yeah, it's like the woods, they're cleaning up wells. And I realized this is a different time and place, and the regulations have changed, and situations have changed. But I said, okay, fine. So I worked a week, and lo and behold, one day about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I came idling in the woods. Now, I had work there, so I walked up. There's a fellow asleep in the back home, and it's running. I knocked on the window, and I woke him up and I said, hey, dude, I got work here, and I gotta get you moved. So, and besides, can you kind of explain to me what you're doing? He said, yeah, I'm under contract with the EPA, drawing federal aid. My job is to clean up these wells. I said, well, how many wells are on this property? He said, about slightly over 100 wells. And I said, wow, that's really interesting. And I said, so how much does it cost to clean up one of these wells? He said, from $20,000 to $25,000. And I said, and who's paying for that? He looked at me and said, who do you think's paying for it? I said, me. He said, that is correct. You are paying for it. So, the guy making Fed rate operators rate, he's sitting in the backhoe, he's asleep, and I'm paying $1 million to clean up a project that was abandoned and left.
Well,
and I just want to caution the board. And when I hear something like, well, we're not protected enough, or we're not doing this, or we don't have the right language in the contract to get as much money out of a wealthy operating company that we want. And these are impactful projects, and they impact not only in the short term, but also in the long term, right? While they're operating and when they're done and gone. When solar energy is replaced by hydrogen, for instance, right? What happens to all these?
The wind and solar, Jim, have to buy bonds. They have to buy like reclamation bonds, just like a mine would have to do now. So theoretically, there's enough money there that they have that they, they have a bond that will clean it up. And we're pretty confident that the amounts are, but like you said, you never know. I don't think solar's that hard to clean up. Maybe batteries are, maybe, I don't know about a windmill. They're pretty big. But I think with solar, you just rip them out of the ground pretty much. I don't know what you do with the solar panels, but you can't, they're not supposed to leave them there. Even if they go bankrupt, the bonding, the bond is written through like an insurance company or something they're irrevocable.
Right, and it
Yeah, they're
doesn't specifically
decommissioning.
require.
And that money's in the council somewhere up front.
They
Right,
had to
that's
buy it,
correct.
yeah, they've already bought it, they've already paid for it.
We don't deal with it,
Is
but
that
to it.
updated, it's cost and change?
the town has to deal with it. I don't know.
So
I
the
don't know
cost to
about that.
clean up a project today is bonding. Is the cost to clean up a project 25 years from now?
Yeah,
Construction costs rise at 10, 15%
Yeah,
a year.
I don't know, cause like,
That's
I don't know.
something that I would like.
We hope so, we think
That's
so.
why-
We've done due diligence to make sure there's, more than just what it costs today. Those bonds are written for more than what it would cost today, but like you said, we don't know 100%.
So that's my concern in the energy sector. And then the second thing that concerns me slightly is development projects in terms of like, for instance, the truck stop. Okay. We have a situation where an empty building, we're getting any sales tax on it, right? That's obviously a loss, huge loss. We're doing that now. Quickly's and Dunkin' Donuts are multi-million-dollar corporations.
Right.
We're throwing money at them.
We throw no money at them. We give them anything, but they don't get any money from us.
They get tax
Yeah,
break,
they're-
tax break.
Yeah, but that's still throwing money at them. You can call it what you want.
Well, they got some tax
Still
breaks.
money that I don't get.
No, you don't understand. When they do a pilot for a short period of time, they don't pay any taxes, and they start paying taxes, they'll be on full taxes afterwards. If we had not done that, thered be no taxing on that property.
And
So
they
you
do
didn't
that
lose
payment in
anything.
lieu of taxes, and the town, and the county, and the school district
Right.
does get,
That
a part of each one of those
Right.
annual payments of those pilots, so.
So you're right, there's an enticement, so there's
Right.
a short period of time, but if we didn't do that, that would still be a vacant lot.
So you really feel that way? You feel?
I know
you
that.
didn't entice-
We tried. We had tried for years to get something
Yeah,
to
I
go there.
don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
And I don't like not knowing something.
No, and that's why I'm telling you,
No, they're all
Jim.
Good questions.
Because that's the typical thought process is that we're giving them a tax break, you're right. But it's for a short period of time, and then from then on, they have to pay taxes. And there was nothing, would have been nothing there if we didn't do this.
So I guess, I won't take it anymore. of your
No,
time.
that's fine. It's a good question.
I
No,
know,
we're happy to share it.
I know you guys, I know some of you guys, and I know, I'm glad to hear Terry's coming on the board. I think Terry's a good addition to the board. And I know her, so if I have questions and I need further understanding.
You can always call me, and I-
And so, yeah, it's complicated and it's,
You're
there's
good.
a lot to it. And the reason I'm here is because I care about the town that I live in, and I care about the county.
So do we.
I just don't, athletes can take steroids and their performances improve in the short term. But what happens to their body over the long term and how long that performance
Sure.
will be maintained is questionable. So
How long have you been supervisor? About 20-some years, right?
I've been supervisor I think about 15?
I don't know.
12 or 15.
Too long.
Oh.
Wow, shots
You can
fired.
run. In fact, I enjoy my board.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to move
I
along.
need to go along because
Yes.
Judy's got to leave.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks for
you
joining
very
us.
much.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
We appreciate your questions, we really do. And we're glad to share that information.
So do you have any comments on the annual report? Because we really don't want to put the annual report out or that one pager unless you reviewed it. We don't really need to approve it, but there are any comments that we
I
need to
just
edit
have-
or
I
change
have one
something.
possible change we might want to make, it's with this,
Where are you? Oh, that.
organizational
Yeah.
chart.
Right.
It almost looks like, everybody, all these boards report to Allegheny County Legislature, and I think just the IDA does, and then the IDA has.
Well, we have to show it that way because they were all formed by the county.
Right, the lawyers, I had it your way. And the
Like
lawyers said
the
it has to work.
ACLD, the Local Development Corporation, we work with them at the same board, but it was formed by the county, just like it was the other ones. They don't have,
ACUC. Formed by the county?
ACUC, no, we formed that one.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
That one can be changed.
How, just listed separately.
Well,
How
ACUC,
about the LDC?
the LDC was formed by the county.
How about the, one that we do loans through?
That is the
That would be
LDC.
Yeah, that's the LDC.
Do you have any comments on those? We have an organizational chart. Dan looked at it, and it basically
That's
shows,
what I think should be changed. Anybody that's under us. I think
Yeah.
Needs to
But
show up under us
We can't
now.
do that. We can't do it under the ACIDA. That, maybe Ed can speak to that. That's what Dan and Ed told us this week. We can't put any.
because they're not
under the
affiliates,
ACIDA.
they're separate organizations.
Right, they have to be separate.
Do we have to have this page?
That's correct.
Yes. Required.
Then why are they on my financials? Why do they show up on my financial report?
Because they have, because they
But
all
they're-
share the same board.
But they're all separate.
They're separate, but.
That's
share
why
the
they show
same-
them as separate entities.
I mean, okay, fine, I'm not on this board
Okay,
anymore.
I'm gonna get really picky.
Go ahead.
Okay. The size of the boxes,
Okay,
all right?
yeah.
The top box is bigger than any of the other boxes. I'd like to see it smaller because these do act independently. And this gives the wrong impression, in my opinion, that the
Where the power
top
structure lies.
box, where the tower is.
Well, the real,
And that should not be.
the real question is, and I understand the question is, they were all formed by the county, they're independent agencies, but they don't really, in essence, and Rich is right, we don't really report to the legislature.
This gives them, this.
So how do you want, how's the best way to show that? They're all autonomous groups that were formed by the county, but the organizational chart has always showed the legislature at the top.
Ed, can I make a suggestion?
It's almost like a dotted line, because they
Right.
don't really, they don't,
Yeah, I think about that.
maybe a dotted line, because it doesn't really show, that they're not, we're not under the
Yeah.
county, but they're the ones that formed us.
And
Okay, so you think a dotted line would clear it up?
people see this, they're gonna say, okay,
That-
we're the boss, we can boss those people around.
But I'm just saying, I think that's how we need to show it a little differently.
So can I just make a clarification? So the ACUC, I actually just want to put all by itself.
Right, that's,
I need to.
it has
split it
nothing to
out.
do with the
Yeah,
county.
I'm gonna split the ACUC out, and then I'm gonna dotted line
That's
the
a complete
LDC
separate
and the
organization.
CRC.
That's a for-profit organization we formed for the water line,
Right, and that's gonna be separate,
which
okay.
has nothing to do with the legislature.
And our financial statements call those entities component units. And they're on our financials, so maybe the next board should think about how that's shown.
I actually looked through that. You're
If the
correct.
county's in charge of those, they
So to
probably
your
shouldn't be
point-
on our financials.
Right, so to your point, and
How
Craig,
are they
I
a component if we don't?
it really is
Control.
wrong. I think we need to list this like this. So where we have the ACIDA board, do an exact same box and call it the ACLDC board, and then put the LDC under it.
Right.
And then do you see what I'm saying, Ed? And then do the same thing.
We'll send it to you to kind
Yeah,
of look
I'll do the
at it.
same thing for the CRC.
Okay.
I'll put the CRC board, I'll put the same board members, and then I'll put the CRC under it. Does that make sense?
Well, I don't care what you do.
No, you're
It's up
right.
to you guys.
No, we want to
Yeah.
make sure it looks right, because I think that's a
I just
problem.
don't want it to
because-
be misleading.
I
Yeah,
agree. So
correct.
I'll take Judy's account and yours, and I'll.
We'll send it to you one last time to look at the dotted lines and how they're.
But this is beautiful.
Send it
I mean,
tomorrow.
This is just so good.
We got some address changes.
Yes, I was gonna do that.
We're taking all the addresses out.
We're just gonna remove them, they're not required.
Oh,
So
okay,
just gonna
well,
put your city.
well, for your records here, you gotta get it right, it's 5938.
I'll do that because the website does actually have to.
5938.
Let me just go back, sorry.
Okay, Judy's wrong too.
I know she told me.
She sent that in. She
And
sent
then
it.
is there,
Oh, yeah.
she's writing that
Yeah, aren't
down.
you gonna take that off, those addresses off?
Yeah, but it actually have to be listed in our public record, so tell me the right thing, Judy, so I can fix it there. It's coming
I
off. of here.
will tell you after, we need to move on.
That's fine.
One more thing, I'm sorry, Judy. You know,
Oh,
we're
that's okay.
showing this brownfield building that's, you know, the whole wheel puller in Scioto. And then we're also showing, we're doing a pilot for it. So I don't know if that's, I mean, is that a good, you know, well, it's dirty, but they're gonna make food there. So I mean, I don't know.
Well, they're
maybe-
connected, right? So that's the reason we're using some of the grant money to do a phase one and a phase two,
Okay.
to ensure that he has the correct, report saying that it's either safe or needs to be
Okay,
remediated.
fine.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's why we're using that money.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then John gave me a couple of minor corrections, which I don't think the board needs to worry about, because they were really great editorial comments, but they don't significantly change anything.
And now you're sending the correction.
Yes, I see it.
We'll send out the corrected version to you so you have the final.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
And then did anyone have any comments on the one page, Judy? Sorry, that was the last thing for me.
No, it was good.
no,
The
it's good.
ACID at a glance. These are things I will, as soon as you guys are all set with them, present to the legislature next week as well, and then publicly.
No, you're doing a good job with all of that.
Thank you.
We're getting there, Ed.
Good additions to what we can provide for ourselves and for the public. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you gonna make a final statement?
Yes.
Because I just want to grind an axe before you say it. Can I just do it right now?
Yeah, you're,
Okay,
this
so
is,
what I'd like to do is just urge the new board, we're talking about these biomass fuels. We have a water line that we're part of, it's going to the county. I just want people to remember what Marsh Acres and Streslac did to our county, the biggest fail this county's ever had, the biggest fail this IDA's ever had. I would hope that any of these projects we're talking about, including providing water to them or anybody in their family, as long as that property is owned by them, I don't want that to happen. I recommend we don't do it, and I recommend we remember it and don't forget about it. That's all I wanted to say, because they really put a hurting on our county for years to come. Look
Remember
at
the
Cuba.
Alamo.
I've
Yeah,
heard.
good point. Good.
That's
Thank
all,
you for
that's the
saying
last
that.
thing. Okay, sorry.
Is there any new business? Okay, if not, I have something to say in the good of the order. I would just like to say special thanks to the IDA board members who volunteer their time, not paid, for all of these projects and programs that benefit Allegheny County and its residents. And this is the end of a 4-year term of office for everybody. I want to say thank you to John and to Doug for your work on the board. John has served 4 years as a board member representing Allegheny County Legislature. Thank you, John, for all you've contributed. And I think the growth that you have seen as a board member from the beginning to now. Thank you. Big thank you to Doug Frank, who has served multiple terms on the board, and a retired banker. He serves as our treasurer with an eye to the financial details and his review of every single IDA check before he signs them. So thank you, Doug, and thank you for continuing. I'd like to take the opportunity to say something to our retiring board members who have served many years on the IDA board. Rich, I don't remember when you came on. I think you came on before me. I don't know.
Yeah.
You served with my husband,
Yes.
right? Okay. Okay, so that's more than 10 years. Served several years as chairman. Appreciate that very much. And he has brought dedication and an exceptional eye for detail to our board, especially complicated legalese that most of us or some of us don't really understand. And proposals that the board needs to understand and approve. So thank you, big thank you, Rich. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been an honor to serve with you. And Randy. Randy Shaler has served many years as well. Do you remember how many we
10. He came on right after I did. He was the first one I got on the board.
Okay, so that was, I was here before you started, so, okay, but right around the same time. So, Randy has served as secretary and vice chair of the board. In his background in industry and serving as mayor of the village of Wellsville, Randy has brought valuable experience, judgment, and insight to this board. As vice chair, he has been willing to step into doing a meeting, chairing a meeting at a moment's notice. So thank you, Randy. It's been a pleasure. To both of you, we are grateful for your dedication to economic development in Allegheny County and the IDA. I thank you both for all of us, what you've done to contribute to the growth and prosperity of Allegheny County. I was going to do a whole list of all the projects and stuff that we have accomplished as a board in the last 10 years. And it's millions and millions of dollars that have have helped Allegheny County. But I thank you all for what you have contributed to the growth, prosperity of Allegheny County, and I am honored to be your colleague and friend. It has been an honor for me to serve on this board for 10 years, since 2016. I was appointed right after my husband Ted, who has served on the board for 7 years, passed away. The IDA and this board has accomplished great important work for Allegheny County. I thank each of them for volunteering to serve and accomplish profitable, meaningful projects for Allegheny County. And with that, it is also time for me to retire and from the board of directors, and I therefore submit my letter of resignation to the IDA board, that we can pass this to Craig, effective Friday, 13th, 2026. Thank you all to Craig, Melissa, Barb, Ed, and all of the dedication and work that you have done for Allegheny County. It's been an honor to serve with you. I wish you well and live well and prosper for the coming years. So may I have a motion to adjourn this morning meeting?
No.
No. You got one more. You could try, though.
That was quick.
Son of a gun.
First of all, thank you, Judy. Everything you said that was nice about us is, look at the leader. Look at who provided the direction and who kept these cats herded together. And I can only say thank you and how much pleasure it has been to work with you and everybody at this table. As you know, I have not, or I did not ask for reappointment to the board. Judy referred to it as retirement. That's appropriate. I think to avoid any confusion, I am now resigning effective midnight tonight. So I will no longer be a member of the Allegheny County IDA board tomorrow, the 13th. So again, it's been a tremendous pleasure, and this has been a real, I look forward to these meetings and to talking with you folks and hearing what you have to say. So, and I thank you for that.
Rich, would you like to make?
I don't really have anything else to say other than, I know the people at this table love our county and have done a really good job, and they're smart people, all, everybody. So it's really running great. We have good new generation. Barb, you've really just done such a wonderful job, and Craig, you have over the years too. So, really, I don't have anything else to say other than that, other than I'm gonna resign, effective at 11:58 tonight.
He beat you.
I will not be. So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Well, I got to do something. I'll do it very short because we've also said some great words about all the board members. It's been a pleasure serving with all. We've made a huge difference, as Rich and everybody knows here who's been here for 10 years since I've been here. When we took over, we were in the hole. We're now not in the hole. We have a lot of funds. We can do a lot of things for the county. We will be doing things for the county. And having Melissa and Barb on board, actually, I can do my real job because it was awful for a while. But we're now to a force that we can do some real economic development in the county. So we're really excited. And obviously, Ed's a good addition, even though Dan was really good as well. Right, Ed?
Yeah. Oh. Hey,
I have an appointment at 1.
Now we got to adjourn.
One quick thing, Rich and Randy and Judy, thank you for all you've done.
Right.
And I said this before, I'm going to miss you dearly. Judy, I've been a friend of yours for a long time, and your family, and your son played baseball for a long time. We all each other. And so, thank you again.
For great coach. Great coach. Thank you all.
Yeah. Yep.
Us too.
So with that,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There we go. Thank you.
Second,
Second, okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Go. We're live. We're live.
We have to do this online.
Yep, we're back on live.
Okay.
I was reminded not to have it in interim on the recording.
Okay, thank you.
Out of this huge pile.
I have somebody else's.
Yeah.
Okay, we are, in order for the Local Development Corporation, we need to approve the minutes of January 8th. Take a motion to do that.
Or second,
Rich?
I'll second,
Okay.
John motion.
John, okay, John and Rich. Any questions about that? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is passed. We do have an executive session scheduled for the.
I just saw you schedule it, but we don't, no, we're not gonna have, we don't need one.
Okay, all right, let's move on to the treasurer report then. Take a look at that, please. We'll accept a motion on that. Rich, thank you. Rich, make the motion, second.
Second.
Thank you, Randy. Give me a minute to look at it. You have it in front of you. Any questions? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, action items. Oh, you are good. Yeah, you are. You're just reading this. That's great. I don't know where it is. Okay, the action items to approve the remote meeting policy for the LDC.
We had the required public hearing on February 4th, and like the other public hearing, no one attended, so there are no comments, there are no public concerns, and basically, we're okay to approve this if the board wants to.
I'll make a motion to approve this resolution.
Okay. Let's see.
That's a voice vote.
Oh, it's a voice vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it's
I don't think
got
so.
a roll call.
I second.
Yeah,
Okay.
a roll call, excuse me, I said it wrong, sorry.
Barb, I hope you're getting this. I know.
Oh my God, that's just running.
Okay, we have a motion and second to approve that resolution, approving the remote access policy. This is a roll call vote. Judy Hopkins votes yes. Randy Shaler,
All right.
Yuri,
Aye.
Doug,
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Okay, that is approved unanimously. Thank you. Okay, and action items, we've done the ACLDC loan program.
Just wanting to know it's up and operational. We've started looking at a couple of review of 2 different applications, but we're not very far down the road, so we're not ready to really have Doug or anybody interview anybody. So hopefully in the next month, we'll have something from one of them.
Right, I'm doing the initial review, and until they have a reasonable package that makes any sense, Craig had asked me last.
We're not
time,
gonna waste
it makes
people's
no
time.
sense to waste anyone's time until we have a viable loan application, and we don't right now. They need work.
But just so you know, we do have 2 applicants.
We do. And a third supposedly coming, but none of them are viable yet.
Yeah, okay?
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, then we don't need to do that part.
That's it.
That's it. Motion to adjourn. Doug?
Doug,
John?
John,
Thank you.
try to keep Barb.
All right, we have another